Now let's get into some of your assignment work. I just want to make sure that you're all set with those. First of all, let's talk about the Week 6 discussion forum in BStrat 450 network. This is the first session with discussion forum leaders, and again, as I said at the outset, there will be no discussions in Manhattan anymore. In addition, we're no longer going to be doing sort of the collective input. I'm going to be using discussion forum leaders. I'd encourage you to read my February 15th blog where I explain that in a little bit more detail. This week's topic is going to be reading the Johnson & Johnson uses both operational readiness and corporate relatedness on page 169 of the text. You should also review the supplemental materials which I'll be posting in the discussion forum. Those materials will be in the form of video and a couple of website links and a PDF of a brief document. All of those materials should be reviewed together in order to prepare for the case. The instructions I'm giving are actually primarily those that the discussion forum leaders need to consider. That said, I expect that everybody will have read and understand what's going on when they go to read the postings that will be put up by the discussion forum leaders. On Monday through Thursday, the discussion forum leaders will answer the questions posted in the discussion forum. This week, there's actually a part 1 and a part 2 set of questions. You'll see that when you go to the BStrat 450 network. And then beginning on Thursday, the rest of the class can comment on their entries, on the entries that are going to be put in by the discussion forum leaders, who will, in fact, be doing a few paragraphs each, maybe a paragraph or two per section. As I said, there's a part 1 and a part 2. There are 5 discussion forum leaders, and they will sort of operate the way the whole class has been operating up to this point. Everyone else in the class will have the right from Thursday on to post comments or questions to the extent they want. A couple of bits of advice here. First, they should be very brief, 1 or 2 sentences at the most, and don't be redundant of other people's comments. If there's already a comment, you don't need to say it again, and you don't need to participate every week. In fact, I'm going to discourage people from participating every week. My preference is if you see something you think is worth mentioning, mention it. And hopefully between now and the end of this semester, you'll be able to do that 3 or 4 times. That means at most you're going to put 3 to 4 sentences up over the whole remaining semester. The only time that you will be an active participant, i.e. really post an extended discussion or an extended set of comments, is when you take on the discussion forum leader role. I've posted in Manhattan, and I've sent an email to everybody, the assignments for discussion forum leaders from week 6 through week 13. Every group except the last one is 5 people. The last group is 4 people. And so you should check to see whether you are a discussion forum leader. This week's discussion forum leaders and week 7's, I want to thank them because they were volunteers, so I appreciate those folks who are willing to step up right out of the gate with this new process. I hope that this more streamlined approach makes the whole discussion module more interesting, easier to follow, and less work for everybody involved. If you have any questions about how to do this or questions about what you should be doing, let me know. I would encourage you, I've tried to describe this both in the discussion forum and I've described it in my February 15th blog and my weekly update. So I'm hoping that it's pretty clear, combined with this lecture, what needs to be done, but certainly feel free to contact me if you have questions about it. Remember that the assignment this week is the periodic chapter assignment. That's the BCG experiential exercise number 2, which you can find. It's the BCG product portfolio matrix on page 180 to 181. You need to submit your written analysis no later than March 2nd at 10 p.m. on Manhattan. Before you tackle this exercise, please do a couple things. First, review the week 6 discussion forum. That's the forum I just talked about, the Johnson & Johnson discussion forum. Included in my supplemental materials are some materials that are similar to those that you'll need to find on the internet to complete this experiential exercise. The exercise is set up in a way that you're supposed to select a company and then do some research on it. And the Johnson & Johnson materials, which I've posted, has an example of how a publicly traded company, which is what you're supposed to choose, like Johnson & Johnson, organizes its website and available investor information about its business units and market segments, which is precisely what you're going to be asked to do, which is to evaluate business units of a diversified publicly traded company. In addition to the company's own website, there are two other resources that I think might be helpful: Google Finance and Reuters Stocks. In in my blog, I've provided links, but here are links as well. In my blog for the weekly update, I provided links to both Google Finance and Reuters Stocks. Here are the links. I would encourage you to use them if you can't find useful information in the company website. Regardless of how many units your diversified company might have, and they could have many, you'll see Johnson & Johnson has three major unit areas with 256 operating companies. I do not expect you to do a write-up on anything near that level. I would say focus on no more than 3 to 4 operating units for your written analysis. That should be enough to be able to give you a couple of different business units that you can compare. But please don't do beyond that. That would be way, way, way too much work. You should assess the overall market attractiveness for those 3 to 4 segments using the BCG market product matrix, and you need to explain your rationale. So you need to use the matrix, which is explained in the book, understand how to use it, and then when you go to apply the matrix, don't just apply it and say, this is a dog or whatever the case may be. And this is actually a common thread I just want you to think about whenever you do an exercise. I expect to see a sentence that says, I believe this, or this is this, or I think this is the case, and then a because statement which explains the rationale for your assertion. So I will expect that in this exercise as well. Your paper, as always, should be between 2 and 5 pages as outlined in the syllabus, and that includes charts if you're using charts. In fact, if you would prefer to use the matrix chart and map your 3 companies, that's fine, and then you can just provide an explanation below the map of why you placed the companies where you did on the matrix. That's fine with me. And the learning objectives for this exercise are first to understand how to evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of a diversification strategy from a financial performance perspective. So you're going to look at a group of companies and in a larger diversified company and determine whether the strategy makes sense on a company-by-company basis. And you're also going to learn, hopefully, how to research a company's publicly available financial data relatively quickly. I don't want you to spend a ton of time. Again, you only have to show 3 to 4 operating units. You just need to be able to find the units and then be able to find the financial information on the relative performance of those units. Next week's assignment will be to read chapters 7 and 9 of the book. Remember that next week is mergers and acquisition and collaborative strategies, which again I believe are related themes, related issues. You should view the posted lecture, which again is either going to be posted as a document in Manhattan or as a YouTube video in BStrat 450 network. And then you need to participate in the BStrat 450 network discussion forum using the new streamlined approach, which means if you're a team or a discussion leader, obviously it's going to be fairly active participation. Everybody else will participate on an ad hoc basis and only post comments when it's really appropriate. Next week's agenda, as I said, is we continue the discussion of strategy formulation with mergers and acquisitions and cooperative strategies. Again, I'm pretty excited about this coming week because I do mergers and acquisitions, and I hopefully can bring a little bit of insight and maybe some interesting stories from the real world of M&A practice. And that brings us to the end now. As you can tell from a timing perspective, we've substantially streamlined this. This is about a 30-minute presentation as opposed to an hour. I would very much appreciate your feedback on whether I have over-edited. In other words, have I taken too much out? Again, I think this is the easy week to make this transition, since we are talking about a topic that's relatively straightforward. But let me know if you thought I covered enough. Hopefully you have a sense that since I have become a bit more focused, or I chose to be a bit more focused, that the things I did talk about would be important concepts that you ought to be reading carefully and understanding for your course. And if you have any questions, certainly let me know. Please send me a note via Manhattan Post Office, and I'll try to get back to you quite quickly. I am traveling this week, so I can't guarantee I'll be back within hours, but certainly each day I will try to check my messages and get back to you. If you need to speak, please let me know, and we can set up a telephone conference this week or next, or at some point in the relatively near future. And then finally, please look at my blog. There's a lot of information there now. I'm going to be doing weekly updates each week that lay out what you need to do for the week. Also, as I said, both in my blog about the course enhancements and the follow-up blog, I will be hosting 4 mini open houses over the next 2 months, and I hope that as many of you as possible can join me. That'll be at the business school, a chance for us to meet. There's not going to be any particular topic, but it'll be a chance for us to talk, share views, and hopefully just a good chance for us to get to know one another. I will bring donuts and coffee from Dunkin' Donuts, and so if nothing else, it's a chance for you to get some free food. Look forward to seeing you at one of those or all of them. And in the meantime, I hope that the changes that we've made will work for you. And again, thank you all for your feedback on the evaluation. I think in the long run, we will have a much stronger course because of all of the really strong suggestions that you all made. Thanks very much, and have a great week.